Saying we are live. So, hooray, we did it. Hello. Thank you for joining me today, Mel. And hello, my tribe. We are here to chat to you today about creating content with confidence, which I'm really excited to chat with Mel about. We've known each other for a few years now, and Mel is definitely, someone I really respect in the content marketing space. She does a lot of great work, and it's something I think that a lot of people have I'm not going to say a problem or issue. Well, yeah, maybe a problem, a block. Like, what do I say? What do I even say? And that can actually stop you from even starting in the first place, can't it? So it's getting that confidence to actually create content and put it out there and to not feel worried about it, which is what you do so well. So welcome.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me, Jess. Hi, everyone in my tribe. It's so wonderful to be here. And likewise, I must say that I thoroughly respect you as well, Jess, and what you do. It's quite amazing. And I think that we come from very similar perspectives in terms of what we teach our followers as well.
Yeah, that's true. I think, moving like-minded marketers, we've both got a marketing background, and there's a lot, it takes a long time. You think, well, you can start a business and start doing marketing, but you and I both know we've been doing it for many, many years. I had 20 years in corporate before starting a business, and that amount of time, it's not like you need 20 years to learn marketing, but you certainly gain a lot of experience and insights when you've been doing it that long, and you get to that point where you know what does work, what doesn't work, what not to bother with, and really how to leverage that, your opportunities to get the business out there and in front of the right people. So
yeah, definitely.
I love being able to talk about it though, and really help other people to not have to spend 20 years learning it all to get there. So thank you so much for joining me today. Now I know you've got some tips that you're going to go through, a couple of points about getting that confidence to create content and to put your business out there. So I'll let you get started with that. And if anybody's listening live, I also have the comments here on the screen. So if you've got a comment and you'd like to say hi, you'd like to ask a question, please pop that in the comments and we will see it and respond to you live.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Okay, well, let's just start our discussion, Jess, with what is confidence. I think that confidence is different for you and me compared to someone else. We all have our own different levels of confidence, don't we? And in that same respect, my confidence in the past is very different to my confidence now, and I'm sure it's going to be very different to my confidence in the future as well. There's kind of that journey or that transition with our confidence. I know that I remember when I first started my business, and I don't know whether you can relate to this, Jess, I'm sure you can, but posting your first selfie, how nervous, or did you not feel nervous? Did you feel nervous when you posted your first selfie?
Yeah, it was very uncomfortable because, even though I guess creating content and posting something, I was used to doing from that like corporate marketing perspective, but it was never me. It wasn't my face I was blasting out. It was always something, branded and something from a company. So it's a huge change to actually suddenly be your own brand and be the face of your business and to be putting yourself out there. So yeah, I was actually doing it with a baby strapped to me because when I started the business, I had a newborn. Wow. And she slept on my belly most of the time in a carrier. And so I thought, you know what, I can't just wait until she's not on me. And then if she's not, she's probably awake. And if I'm going to do it, I just have to do it now. So my first lives that I did, quite a few of my posts were with the carrier on me in the front and then me, and I would just talk. And I thought,
That's
she's
awesome.
not going to wake up. So I just did it. But I didn't have a big audience. So I think I just kind of got over that fear thinking, I don't think anyone will see this anyway. And I just did it more for practice.
Yeah, and that's an awesome way of looking at it as well, isn't it? what's the worst thing that can happen? Like, no one is actually going to die from me doing, a live or, posting a selfie. So, yeah, just get in there and do it. But yeah,
Yeah.
like I would say that my confidence has definitely grown over time. Like, I don't think twice now about posting a selfie. I sometimes get a little
Mm.
bit nervous still when I'm doing Facebook Lives. I still have to have my notes in front of me. I'm not like a natural speaker like you are, Jess. You can just get up there and talk.
Oh, I tend to talk too much probably and go off down tangents, but I think you have to be, what works for you. I do usually try to get my thoughts down on paper before I do the live, but then
Okay.
when I'm doing it, I talk off the cuff, because if I try to follow notes, I sound like a robot. Whereas when I'm talking and doing it naturally, I sound a lot better. So for me, that's what works. I know it doesn't work for everybody, but I've tried both ways, and I definitely sound way more robotic and less like a human when I'm reading off notes. So I tend to kind of have a couple of points that I might want to look at to be like, yes, keep myself on track. Like, what were my 5 points? But I don't script anything, but
Yeah.
that's my style. And maybe I will in the future. Who knows? I might get to that point where I get used to reading from a script, and it's probably a skill that we could all grow and learn, couldn't we? It's
Ab-
like anything.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's just a really great example of confidence changing over time, or, growing over time, and our confidence growing with that, being able to do different things at different times. So yeah, that's really interesting. But I love how you said that you just got in there and did the lives with, your baby strapped to you. That's just awesome. And we really need to try and get over that thought of, hiding, and we'll talk about hiding strategies in a moment. But if we come from it from a perspective of service, so we're
Mm.
serving our ideal client, they need to hear from us, and it's a crime if we don't tell them what we can actually offer them. Then if we kind of move from that self-promotion kind of mindset into one where it's one coming from a service perspective, I think that really helps us in terms of just doing it, getting it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that made me think of something I say to people is, as a small business, you might feel like you're a small fish in a big pond, and there's all of these barriers, but actually I think you've actually got the best opportunity when you're a service-based business, because when you're buying a service, people buy from people, and people buy from people they trust. And so as a small business, you have got way more advantage over big companies that have kind of become a brand and generic, and the people are there, but they're all hiding behind the brand. Whereas when you are a small business, you're very much part of your brand. You're the face of the business. Especially if you've created it to be that way, but you have the opportunity to do that, I guess, a lot more than the larger ones. And just the ability to connect with your customer, to have them really grow to know you and like you, trust you before you're even having a sales conversation, makes your life so much easier. And I really find when you're looking now, I look back at my old world, and even the companies I used to work for and what they're putting out there, and I'm just like, oh, so dry, so boring. Like, come on, add a bit of human element. And I always tried to add that, but they kind of really retract into the corporate way of like, oh, it's all about the brand, and all these rules and everything. And it's like, yeah, rules are great to a degree, but it's like, let's not take away the human element. It doesn't even matter if it's a large company, there's still humans making decisions about working with humans. And I think that people forget that. It's like, yes, you're a business, but you aren't an object, you're a human, and it's humans who are making a decision to buy from you. So stop trying to be a thing and an object, and actually be a human. Like, really make that connection and become part of your brand so that they can connect with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's.
And I think that's something that a lot of people forget about as well. That you are your business and you are unique, and they kind of shy away from actually telling people about their values, or showing people what their values and their beliefs are, and the uniqueness that you actually bring to your business as well. So I really encourage people to embrace the fact that you are your business, and use that to your advantage, especially when it comes to your content as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a total advantage. And I think it's like we just need to get out of our own heads and stop worrying about what people think about us, because you think about yourself, and when you look at other people who are putting content out there, are you sitting there nitpicking about, what they look like or what they're wearing, or, oh, they look a bit tired today, like I probably do. I've got a few bags under my eyes. I was telling Mel before we came on the live that I've had a horrendous week of broken sleep, that it peaked on Friday night with a trip to the hospital at 2 a.m. for my daughter. So anyway, it is what it is. I'm not hiding away today because I'm still feeling a bit tired. My voice is croaky and I've got bags under the eyes. It's like, that doesn't matter, because it's not about me. No one cares what I look like. You guys don't care what I sound like. Maybe you think she could have done a bit better. But anyway, it's more about what we're saying and the value. And so I do it thinking it's about the person who's there, who I'm doing this for you. I'm not doing it for me. Like I'm fine. I've got my business. I know this stuff, but I'm out doing it because I want to help someone else. Like I want to help and share something. And if I can help one person in a day to take a step or to do something more beneficial, then that's a win. That's success.
Absolutely.
And it's been worth it.
Absolutely. And once again, it's coming from that place of service, isn't it, Jess? They need to hear from you. You need to be able to let them know what the services and transformation is that you can actually provide. So when we make it less about us and make it more about our ideal client, then we're more likely to show up with our content and our marketing as well.
Yeah, it takes a lot of that fear away, I think, as well. As soon as you kind of realize it's not about me and people aren't there to judge me. And even just thinking, well, who cares? Even if someone is thinking something, you're not going to know they're thinking it. So just like, whatever. What does it even matter if they are thinking something bad? Like, you're not going to know unless you go out and go looking for that kind of stuff. It's very unusual that anyone would plaster those sort of thoughts online. And, so what? Even if you do find some kind of person who's a little bit deranged and does plaster negative things, you just have to think that's okay. There are random people like that out there, and it still doesn't matter because the 99% of other people were not thinking the same thing.
That's right. And there's things that we can do as well, Jess, isn't there? Like in terms of blocking them, deleting them,
Yeah. Absolutely. You don't have to partake in it, and you don't have to even respond. You can just think, okay, random weirdo on the internet, good on you. Goodbye.
Move on. Love it. Love it.
Oh, excellent. And Belinda's watching. She said that she was a little bit nervous when she posted her first selfie, but still find pictures easier and less daunting than videos. And she's really speaking from experience, because we had a little challenge in my business makeover training group that we have at the moment. I was running last week, and I'd sort of really asked them to step out and post a video and say something a bit about themselves and their business. And I think quite a few people thought, yes, I'll do this. And there was a lot of nerves because for some it was the first time. So Belinda, though, she did it. She had one go, and she had what happened, the live stuff tech was not seeming to work in the right way. So she had another attempt, and I really congratulate her for not giving up on the first go and to come back and do it again. And she did a great job. So
awesome. Well done, Belinda. So super proud of you. Well done. And I actually remember the first live that I ever did, and it was inside a group, and it was the same sort of thing. It was part of a challenge. And I felt so sick. I just felt so sick. And I did the Facebook Live. I finished it, and then I had to go and lie down because I was just overwhelmed with the feeling of, just nervousness and anxiousness. But, it's all about practice as well, isn't it? The more that you do that, and like inside of my Facebook group, we actually do hashtag Friday Live. So that's an opportunity for people to get in there and practice, because the more you do it, and the more you do it in a safe space as well, the better you're going to get at it, and the more confidence you have. So it's a little bit of a cycle, and we'll talk about the cycle of confidence later. But it is that, it's kind of like you do something and you practice it, you share it, and you get the feedback, and then you do it again.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think, we've all been there on day one. We've all had the nerves of doing our first live, our first selfie. You might look at someone and think, wow, they've really nailed it, they're so confident, I'll never be like them. But it's like, that's not true. We didn't start out being super confident on day one. We were exactly the same. And it's just because, like you say, practice. And I think maybe 2 years ago, I gave myself a challenge because, I knew I had to make it a thing. Otherwise, I just wouldn't do it. I was like, I'm going to do a live every single week. So I'm like, every Wednesday, I'm doing a live. And I made myself do it. And, it's that kind of thing that just makes it easier. And, I've kept that up. And I did the same with my Insta feed. I thought I need photos of me on there. So every second post has to be a photo. So I kind of made some rules for myself. But it was partly about just getting over that fear of doing it and actually getting into feeling more natural and just feeling better about it. And I've lifted the rules now, but I do at least one live a week. And I do post more photos now. I actually lifted the rule because it was getting a little bit too hard to maintain a rule of 1 and 1. And I think, I've got a photo to post, but I can't because it has to be a graphic. And now I need a graphic. And, I was getting myself into some kind of content stress. And I thought, you know what? I can actually take that rule away because I made it for myself. So I don't have to have the rule anymore. I just, now I've got much more of a loose feed and I post what I want to post, which is
isn't that amazing? Like who says that we have to do one photo and then one graphic and one photo and one graphic? Like the amount of times that someone actually goes to your own profile and has a look at your entire, feed that you've so lovingly curated and taking all this time over doing. How often do people do that? Not very often at all. Not very often at all. So, make your own rules. I love it. Love it, Jess.
That's it. I'm like, break down the barriers, I think that's not the only one. There's quite a few, but I won't go off on that tangent because we'll be there all day. But, it's like you actually create barriers in your own way. You're actually putting the brakes on yourself by making up some of these rules and having things. It's like you're doing that to yourself. No one else is telling you that it's got to be perfectly branded or it's always got to be this or it's got to be that. Like, actually, when you've got some of those rules and you're feeling constrained or you've got to fit, do it this way and it's becoming hard, fine if that makes it easier for you because you don't have to think, that's fine. But if it's becoming hard and it's stopping you posting, I really want you to sit there and have a look, like, is that rule helping me or not? Am I actually putting a barrier in my own way? And what is the purpose of the rule? Like, why do I need it? Why can't I do it without that? And I think if we can eliminate some of our own barriers, then there's plenty of other barriers out there. But, those are just some of the most simple ones, I think, to really overcome and to kind of challenge yourself on, because, you might have had a reason why you made it in the first place. But I think often you outgrow it, you outgrow the reason for that rule, or you become, you don't need it anymore. So,
yep. Absolutely. And I think this is probably a perfect segue, Jess, into I think this is a perfect segue into the fact that I've been reading a book at the moment. It's called Playing Big by Tara Moore. I don't know if anyone's had the opportunity to read that. Would love to know. Would love to know in the comments if you have actually read it and what you thought of it. But it's been a real eye-opener for me. It really has. I'm just reading it going, oh my goodness, I do that. Oh yes. There's so many aha moments. It's quite funny. But I just thought I would share, just 6 of her hiding strategies. So these are strategies that we put in place. They're kind of like, you might want to call them limiting beliefs or stories that you tell yourself as well. They're hiding strategies when it comes to your business or playing bigger in your life and what you do. And I think that we can really relate these strategies to our content as well. So I'm going to go through them. Okay, awesome. The first one that she identifies is this before that. Okay, so that means I have to have this in place before I can go and do something else. So, I might have to I might have to have 5,000 followers before I can start a podcast,
Yes, it's so funny because I was writing a piece of content on this exact thing this morning, because it was like I was talking to somebody about my program Business Jam, which is just opened, and they're like, I really need that. I need that strategy so that I can attract better clients and obviously be more profitable. but I need to make more money before I can join. And I'm like, so the reason that you need to join is so that you can make more money, but you're saying that you need to make more money before you can join. Isn't that a bit like kind of saying, oh, I need to lose weight before I join a gym? It's like, well, what's the reason that you're joining the gym? It's like, just do it. That's the thing that's going to help you get there. You could keep doing it the way you're doing, maybe, but will you even ever get to that point? Are you going to get to that milestone? It's kind of crazy, isn't it? It's like we're approaching something backwards and thinking, I need to get to that milestone before I can do the thing that I know that I need to do. It's like, well, what if you tried doing it now? Why do you need to get to that milestone?
Yeah, and it's all about that saying progress over perfection, isn't it? You know, putting one foot in front of the other, and you know, just making a move, just doing it, just getting out there and doing it. And you know, if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. It's just an opportunity to learn from it, isn't it? You know, we can actually learn from this and tweak it. And you know, we were talking just before we went on as well about everything being a test in business, and you know, it's all about research and all that sort of stuff. And if we just kind of take that approach to it, then we can move past that this and that strategy, I think. So that's the first one that she identifies. The second one was designing at the whiteboard. And I love this one because you and I, Jess, talk about the ideal client being like the pivotal part of your business. It drives everything in your business. It drives your marketing, it drives your content, everything. It always comes back to the ideal client. So when we design at the whiteboard, we're kind of really busy in this creating mode without thinking about who we're actually creating it for, and actually not getting in any feedback from them or interaction from them at all. So it's kind of like we need to move through that creative process, but we also need to move through it with our ideal client in mind. If we don't know our ideal client in and out, that's okay. Get it out there, get the feedback back from them, and then you can like test and tweak.
Yes. Oh, definitely. The MVP, you know, minimum viable product, get it out there, and you know, you'll always be able to optimize it and improve it, but you could spend forever whiteboarding something, like you say, and if you haven't, you know, I call this kind of part of the strategy alignment, and that's what is in Business Jam, with these sort of 7 parts of the strategy. And when I drew the diagram of it, because I'm very visual, but I placed the one for the like who you're targeting, both your niche of your specialization and who it's for, because I think they go hand in hand together. They've got to be very connected. But that's in the middle, because without that, none of the other cogs will turn. You know, and even still, you know, the other parts of that machine, really, it's hard to take any piece out and to have it all work and function properly. Like, you'll be able to get somewhere, but then the engine will stop. You really need all of those pieces to get to the outcome of your business. So yeah, that's a major one. And I think that, you know, often people start by thinking, oh, what can I do? How can I make money? And it's like, well, if your goal is just to make money, why don't you make some lemonade and go and sell it down on the corner? Like, you can do anything to make money. Like, stop looking out there for the answer in the market. It's like the answer's within you, and it's within the people who you want to work with. When you bring those together, that's where you find the magic. It's not about, oh, but there's something else might be more profitable out there. It's like, no, everything's profitable. It's the person who makes it profitable or not. It's about how you design it and how you market and create your offer, whether you're profitable or not. It's not the niche or the service that's profitable. It's you. Like, I can tell you, there's lawyers who are broke. There's people in any kind of area that are broke or that are very, very successful. It's not about the market they're in. It's about themselves and their strategy. And I think that's a huge shift, actually. But anyway, I'm going off down a tangent, so I'll let you carry on.
Okay, number 3. We're only up to number 3 or 6. Overcomplicating and endless polishing. How often do you see these, Jess? I see it a lot. So, you know, I can't start a podcast because I have to do all of these steps, and I have to buy a mic, and I have to get someone to edit it, and I have to do all these things. And oh my goodness, all of a sudden there's so many steps and everything for it to be perfect that I don't actually do it. Or the polishing, the perfectionist in us, you know, I can't put that blog out because it's 912 words and it needs to be 1,000, you know, or, you know, it doesn't have the perfect conclusion, or it doesn't have the perfect call to action, or I don't know how to, you know, put the formula together for, you know, the perfect blog post. So I think that bringing that to our content, that overcomplicating and that polishing, once again comes back to the fact that we've just got to do it. We've just got to put it out there and continue to gain that confidence whilst we're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is still coming back to that, I guess, a partly fear of what other people will think.
Yes.
And partly that there are some rules that are being put in place, which is like black and white, instead of looking at everything as, you know, your business is it's like a science experiment. You know, you're always trying things, seeing how it works, optimizing everything that you do. You're never going to know for sure what will work or what won't work. You know, who says a blog with 900 words isn't going to be as good as a blog with 1,000? Put it out there and see what happens. You might be surprised, you know, and it's partly just going, that's fine. And I'm going to take the learning from it and then make it better next time. Because action, results come from action. They do not come from overthinking and procrastinating and perfecting everything that you do.
Absolutely. And we want momentum, don't we? We want momentum with our content. We want momentum with our marketing. And the only way that we can do that is to continually test and put it out there. So ladies, you're listening, you've got to go and do it. Go and do it. Number 4, curating and collating other people's ideas. Now, this can be a good thing when it comes to content because, you know, we don't necessarily want to have to create new content all the time. If we can kind of curate some other people's ideas, then that's great. However, it becomes more of a problem when you're relying on other people's content. You're relying on other people's ideas. You're relying on being the same as everyone else, and not having the confidence to actually get out there and say what you think. And I know that this is a hard one because I can speak from personal experience that this has been quite difficult for me. It's taken time for me to gain the confidence to say what I really think about things. I have a saying that I think sales funnels suck, and it's taken me a long time to be able to say that, but it's not the actual process of a sales funnel that I think doesn't work. It's just the way that we look at it. So I think that it's a really good hiding strategy for us if we hide behind other people's ideas. But we need to be able to step into our own ideas and be brave enough to put them out there, because that's also what makes us unique as well, and makes what, you know, people attracted to us, because they share the same ideas or they share the same values with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say that, like, you know, if you really want to stand apart from the crowd and be someone that people, you know, you don't have to want to be famous or want to be like a huge influencer, but it's about actually not being a sheep, not being something that's the same as what everyone else is. And if you're just regurgitating the same things that you're seeing, you know, you're not really creating any true impact. And yes, I see a lot of that out there. And I think, like you say, there's a time and a place for it that's really useful. Like, I love it when you do, you know, the best of, or the top 10, or the, you know, and you bring together a list of things that you think are impactful, you know, like, these are the best books that I've read or whatever else. And you know, but you then, that is kind of, you're still creating that content because you're not just repurposing something someone else has created, but you're adding your own value to it. So,
so that is definitely the key, the adding the value.
So I think, you know, it's a really good time saver to be able to do that. But when you can just add the, like, why are you sharing this, and what is, you know, coming from you, that's enough to add the value. So it doesn't have to be time consuming. It can be easy, but it's just think about, well, why am I sharing these things that someone else has done?
Add the value and add the perspective. Love it. Love it, Jess. And the last one, oh no, this is number 5, omitting your own story. So that's around you know, not actually bringing you to your business again, you know, not talking about your past experiences or how you managed to get to the place that you've got, even talking about your qualifications as well. I rarely talk about my qualifications, only because I think that it's been too many years for it to be relevant. But if it's still relevant for you, then definitely talk about it. And once again, it's all about giving our ideal client the opportunity to be able to resonate with us, to be able to identify, yes, I love Jess's way of thinking about marketing and I want to follow her and I want to buy her stuff. So
yeah, definitely. I think stories are so powerful. And that, you know, we're just talking a minute before about being different and unique, and no one can copy your story. So, you know, if all you're doing is content that is, you know, how-to content, you know, like that's kind of like your basic fodder, you know, and you can go out there and there's how-tos on everything. Go onto YouTube, it's all how-to. That doesn't mean it's not necessarily unique to you. Yes, there are ways you could make it unique, but it's when you share a story, it's almost impossible for anyone else to copy that. And you know that that content is so unique. It's just, I guess, the real key, and people worry about stories, but if I had one tip with it, I'd think, why am I telling this story? Like, what's the relevance of it? So you don't always have to give the whole back history of it. You don't have to give all the detail. You know, get it out of your head maybe when you do a draft, but then go, what is actually relevant to the point of why I'm telling this? And then, you know, bring those bits out, because often that's all someone really needs to hear. They don't need all the dirty, gory details unless you want to share and overshare. You don't need them.
And that's some people's jam, isn't it? Like people love to, some people love to overshare. I mean, I'm not one of those by any means, but I think the point about stories and what is the meaning of this story, what do I want my ideal client to get out of this story or take away from this story, is super important with whatever story that you're telling. So that's a really good barometer, I think, as to whether you're prepared to, how much you're actually prepared to share. And that's actually a question that I get a lot, is how much, you know, should I share? And I always say whatever you feel comfortable with, because it's all about you. At the end of the day, it's all about you.
Yes,
our business is about that.
And you know, you think that there's always a point to why you're telling the story. So I think one of the other things I see that, you know, this is my opinion, and I'm happy for other people to have different opinions, but I always think a story is more powerful when you've got the insight, which means that you've gone through the mess. You're not in the mess currently in telling the story, you're through it, and you've now got a perspective that is valuable to share with someone because there's the lesson in it. So if your story has a lesson, perfect. If you haven't got the lesson yet, it's probably too early to tell that story. Just hold it. It doesn't mean not to tell it yet. Just hold on to it a little bit longer until you've got the lesson that is worthwhile sharing.
Yep, definitely. And Amy Porterfield describes that exact situation as making sure you share the scars and not the wound. You know, it's, you know, don't tell it when it's all, you know, pussy and goosey and you know, still in it. But once it's healed and there is a meaning or there is an insight that you can get out of it, then tell the story then. So and the last hiding strategy is, I need a qualification. We were just talking about qualifications, but we can bring this to our content. You know, I need to have that perfect 5-point formula for creating a social media post, or I need to have that course that I never finished, or I need to do this, you know, I need to get qualified in NLP practitioning before I can become you know, a teacher of some description or a coach. So it's all of those things that stops us from sharing our content, because we think that we need to be more or need to be better when we just need to be ourselves.
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes you can just be the perpetual student, like as a note taking and not action taking. So even doing the course, the only way you're actually going to get good at it is by doing it. And so, you know, I kind of have that, if something's teaching you how to think and how to think better, that is much more effective than someone giving you, you know, 5 steps to doing something, which, you know, yes, it's really, you're doing it, but what happens when they're not there to tell you what to do? Do you still understand how to apply it? Do you have the knowledge there? You know, there's such a, I think, a huge hang up around that. And I see so many people stopping before they start because they think, oh no, I need to have some kind of credibility, which means I need a qualification to do this. I'm like, you are qualified if you've got experience. For a lot of things, you don't actually need a qualification. I'm like, who's asking it from you? Is someone saying they're not going to buy from you if you don't have a qualification? You know, maybe if you're a doctor, yes, you would need one. And like, you know, there's definitely professions you need one, but there's a lot of professions you do not need a qualification to be good at what you do and to be of value. And you're so right with that. it is one of the biggest procrastinators, I think, in excuse of why not take action. Oh, no, I need to go and learn that now. Yeah. And it's funny, but if you just think, well, I can have a go at it, maybe I'll figure it out. It's like doing reels. What is this reel thing? And like, I don't know, I made my first one was pretty crap, and then I like played around a bit more. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I didn't need to go and do a course in knowing how to do it. I'm like, and the funny enough, actually, I'm just going to go off on a tangent with that one, but you think, people say, oh, it should be about your business and this and that. Like the reels that have got the most views have been ones with pretty much zero. Not about my business, one of me walking on the beach, my feet, what I did that morning, another one of whales splashing in the background behind me when I was whale watching, 4,000 views in an hour. But like the views, it's like this focus on, I need to create something that people are going to watch and it's valuable, but those 4,000 views, they don't even really mean anything. So for me, I'm like, well, I create a reel because I think it's a bit of fun and it's something that'll work well for that piece of content, but it's not because I think I need to get this viral, I need millions of views, and knowing that the views don't actually translate into sales. It's much more about the strategy behind what you're doing. So yeah, anyway.
Awesome. Well, that's the 6 strategies from Tara Moore that I just thought I would share with everyone. And oh my goodness, we've been chatting for so long. So I'm going to kind of bring this all together, Jess, and so we can wrap it up.
Yes.
Otherwise, we will be here at 3 p.m. in a couple of hours. Anyway, okay. So we've talked about these hiding strategies, and hopefully you've identified some of those and went, oh my goodness, that's me. How do I actually get past this? So I feel like that content can actually help you create confidence. I know that sounds a little bit back to front to some people, like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? But if we can do the first step, then I feel like this little loop that we create in terms of confidence with our content can just keep escalating. So it's quite interesting. So the first thing that we need to do is create. The second is we need to share it. The third is get the feedback, and the fourth is refining messages. So the first bit, create, is all about not designing at the whiteboard, but doing the thing and getting it out there, not procrastinating, not overthinking, just creating it. Or first of all, actually creating it. And then the next step is sharing. So it's actually pressing that post button, that go live button, that schedule, whatever it is, to really just do it. Just do it. Don't overthink it. Because then you have the opportunity with the third step, and that's the feedback step. And this is, often we think about feedback in terms of content as things like, comments and likes and shares and stuff like that. But it can be so much more, Jess. It's also about did they click the link, the call to action? Did they buy the thing? Did they actually tag someone when I asked them? So it's not just about those vanity metrics. It's also, you can get feedback in other ways as well.
Yeah, that's such a big one, because I think, like, you don't know, there might be people who are sitting there watching and reading and consuming your content, and just because they're not commenting on it, liking it, sharing it, doesn't mean that they're not taking it in. And I had someone yesterday join Business Jam, and she said she had, even though she'd been in my training, she hadn't had time to have a look at all of the replays and things, which, fine. I know that it doesn't suit everybody's time schedule, but I did it when I had to. But she said, I've actually been reading all of your posts and content, and she signed up because she knows what I do, what I teach, and it's all of that content. So all that time that I put in to crafting content that's meaningful and, that I am, she was already sold on it without the free training that I ran. And the training wasn't actually a sell, in that way anyway, but she was like, oh, I'm in the training, but I haven't seen it, but I signed up with you because of your content. I thought, well, there you go. That's why you do it, isn't it? It's really...
You never know who's watching. You never know who's watching. And I have a similar story, Jess, where I have had someone join up to a course and my membership of before. Like, I have never seen them in a Facebook group. I've never seen them comment. I've never seen them like my posts. I've never seen anything. They've never replied to any of my emails. And yet they purchased my thing because they have been watching. So not everyone loves to hit that like or that love button, you know?
Yes.
You still are having an impact on people with every single piece of content that you put out there, whether it's impacting them to just keep scrolling because they don't agree with what you're writing about. That's great. It repels them. We don't want them anyway. To people stopping and consuming it, like you said, you know, they might consume it, but they may not actually like it, or they might not actually comment on it because they may retain that information for another point in the future when they actually do need it. So you just never know. You never know who's watching. You never know. I love it. And then the last step is to refine your message. So based on that feedback that you're getting from people, to actually kind of tweak what you're doing. And this is all about the testing that we've been talking about, whether it's, you know, organic or whether it's the Facebook ads. It's all about that testing and getting the results and saying to yourself, what can I actually do different or better to improve the way that I'm communicating with my ideal client.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, like you start off, like you say, just start easy, and you know that you're going to be able to optimize, refine, make it better as you go. The more that you do it, the more you'll learn from it. And it's just being open to that and looking for the feedback. And also, you know, then when you get to the point where you're like, okay, I need to probably take it to the next level, I'm ready to shift to the next level, then you might start looking into strategies. You know, I've got a whole lot of content around messaging and, you know, really helping people to see what they might be doing, like those blocks they're putting in their way, you know, like some of this belief stuff, which can shift and help people really see themselves better. So I've shifted a lot of my content into that space. And then you start to get people saying, wow, that really, I hadn't thought about it like that before. Or, wow, you're really inside my head. That's exactly what I was thinking. You know, when you're getting comments like that, you know, okay, this is really good. So what did I do here? You know, I'm always doing that as well. Like, we're always on that journey of discovering, you know, what does connect, and is it connecting to the right people? Because, you know, you will get, not everybody who sees your stuff and comments on it are the people who you want to buy from you either. It's actually more important that it's connecting with the right people, and the right people are saying, whoa, you know, that was really impactful. But if they're not the right people, it doesn't really matter. You know, it's interesting, but they're not the ones who you're doing it for. So
yeah. I laugh because, you know, my mother-in-law, bless her, likes to like and comment on my posts sometimes. I think she's definitely not my ideal client. But yeah, like your impact is just amazing with your content. And as soon as you realize that, then I think that you just come from a different perspective with your content. And I think you said something interesting as well, Jess, around alignment. Okay, so it's not just about alignment with your ideal client, but when you get that feedback from people, they're saying, oh, that really resonates with me, you realize that it's actually aligned with you as well. And when you come from that space of alignment between being who you are and saying what you want to say, as well as your ideal client actually kind of, you know, listening to it and resonating with it, is such an amazing feeling. And then you know, you grow your audience with people who are more engaged and connected with who you are, who are then more likely to buy from you as well. So it kind of has this amazing kind of feeling about it when you create that content that is perfect for your ideal client and perfect for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So good. I could talk about it all day long.
Let's not. Okay.
Let's not do that. Those were great. You know, such really cool insights, and you know, I really align completely with those points as well. I think that all of those are things that we can do without even realizing that we're doing it. And this is exactly the kind of content that I love to do at the moment. Is like, you might not realize, but if you're doing this, or if you're experiencing this, and this could be why, and, you know, let's actually unpick it a little bit. So, you know, I find it really impactful when you can sort of take that step back and look at yourself kind of from the bird's eye view, like you're looking down and seeing what you're really doing, and then being able to take that shift of awareness in the first place, because no one's making a mistake knowingly. Like, we make mistakes all the time, everyone is, but the point is that you can't, I guess, being able to figure out that you are making one, usually doesn't come from within. Otherwise, you would know that you're making one, unless you're doing it over and over again and expecting a different result, which we all know is like the definition of insanity. But often it does need to come externally, where someone can offer a different perspective and help you to see, okay, yeah, I've been looking down this tunnel, not realizing that I'm looking down a tunnel, and there's actually this whole other way of looking at it, or a different tunnel, different view. That usually can't come from within. Like, you do need some external influence for that to happen.
And this is exactly why your program, Business Jam, is amazing, because it does exactly that. It gives, people the opportunity to hear from someone else a different perspective, and to be able to move forward in our business and not just get stuck in a rut where we are. We do often need that outside input into our business and different ways that we can approach things.
Yeah, and it's just, often it's the question, because we don't always ask ourselves really good questions, which is why it's hard to do this to yourself. But when you get asked a question in a different way, that actually helps you to kind of step out of that and look at it from a new perspective. That's where the breakthroughs happen, because I'm like, you actually have a lot of it within you. And often, you're working with people, I've got marketers in there, and they're very experienced. They've been doing it a long time, but you can't see your own blind spots, and you often aren't really seeing the barriers that you're putting in your own way. And it's sometimes someone who can help point them out, but often it's even just a question that we can ask to help you see yourself in a different way, which can have a real impact. So, that's all what Business Jam's all about. I realized a long time ago that it wasn't about the doing of the tactics, but it's actually in the understanding and learning the strategy and how these pieces impact each other, because it all is all about alignment. You can't just look at one piece on its own and go, right, I've got that now, therefore everything else will work. It's like, actually, no, they all need to align and work together, and everything in your business is like a machine. When you've got all the pieces there, it's running smoothly. If you're missing some, or some are out of place, not connected properly, then of course it's not going to work well, because that machine isn't connected. So, I really, teaching the strategy and how the pieces connect and getting them all together, then the tactics, which is definitely part of it as well. But that piece becomes so much easier because it works, because the engine that you're running it on is actually connected and working and functioning in the way that it should. So, yeah.
Perfect. Love it, Jess. Love it.
Oh, good. Thanks, Mel. And do you have something that, if someone's thinking, I'd love to get a bit more help with the content and want to dive into that with you, do you have something that people could connect with you?
I do. Yes, I do, Jess. And it's really exciting. I've just released it this week. So it's a brand new quiz, and it's called Unlock Your Content Creator Style in Under 4 Minutes. So what you can do is, I think there's only about 8 questions. Like, there's not very many questions at all. So it won't take you any time.
Awesome.
But once you have answered those questions, then I let you know which of the 4 content creator styles you fit into, and then how to use those styles to your advantage in creating your content and your strategy.
Brilliant. That sounds really cool. Love a good quiz. We all like to find out a bit more about ourselves.
So maybe Jess, I'll pop it in the comments when we're finished.
Yeah, let's do that. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining today, Mel. This has been a great chat. I know we could talk a lot longer. We will have to do another one. But thank you so much for joining, and thank you everybody who tuned in and had a listen today. And I hope that you've got some value out of it, and maybe something that's helped you realize something that you are doing, and you can even take some steps today. We always like the immediate action, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah. Small steps, but keep on moving forward. So we'll be looking to see more of your live videos here in my tribe, everybody. Just do it. It's a nice place. There's no mean people in this group. We've got a very lovely group. So
you have,
get in and post your videos, and let's just do it. There's my challenge to you. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks, Mel.
Thank you.
We'll say bye now, and bye everyone in my tribe.
Bye.